107. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. Happy Friday. I am happy that we are here and we know the purpose of being here. We are here this afternoon to talk about training and workforce needs for CNAs and home health aides. When I sent out the request for the meeting invitation a few months ago, I think it was a little bit over a month ago, my thinking was, let's get folks together. Let's talk about what's happening in our region. Let's look at supply, get a better understanding of what that is. We know that there's an absolute need coming from the employer side. So we just wanted to get people in the room having a conversation together, a region-wide conversation. So that's the purpose why we're here, and that was stated in the invite. This week, my primary goal this week for this meeting was to start off on a high note. And I'm excited, I'm laughing about it because, man, was this week a challenge. And especially today was an extreme challenge, but I said, no, I'm going to stay on a high note. So we're going to start off on a high note because usually when we have these conversations, they're really difficult to have because of the nature of the work that folks do and the difficulty that we've had, a long-standing difficulty of finding workers to actually first enter the field and then remain in the field. So wanted to make sure that we start on a high note and stay on a high note. So with that in mind, I want to let you guys know I just purchased a new car. Yay. Just purchased a new car on Wednesday and excited about that, needed it. I actually had the experience of not having a vehicle and having challenges get into work and get into the supermarket. So had that experience firsthand. And it's difficult out there trying to find a new vehicle. It's well overpriced. So yeah, I've put in that commitment to finance a car at a very, very high price. Wanted to see if anybody had anything that they wanted to share. Thank you. Anybody have anything they want to share? High note, just one or two things. It could be very personal, not very personal. It could be personal, not work related, or something work related. And if there's no volunteers, we're going to keep moving. Give it a moment. Anybody, anything to share going into the weekend? No, but I'm seeing smiling faces, so I'll take that. All right, so here's what we'll do. We're going to take the document that I shared. That's the listings of training providers. I'm going to use that listing, and as much as I can, I'm going to follow it and just ask folks to do what's listed on the agenda. So I want us to take a moment and to share just a little bit about our program that we're running, program capacity, course frequency, enrollment and retention levels. I know that's important. We also want to know pretty much give us an idea of how you have managed not recruitment into the program, but working with employers to recruit folks who are complete in the program. And if there's any partnerships that you've done in the past and how you've managed that. Want to talk a little bit about vaccination requirements. I know that I think we all know that DPH requires that all folks in long-term care be vaccinated with the COVID vaccine, and longstanding the education providers have always made sure that their students are aware of all of the medical requirements that are necessary and make sure that they meet those prior to graduation. So if you want to talk about that a little bit, any challenges that you're facing in regards to recruitment, and what do you think your supply numbers are going to be like for this year? I said I'm going to use the document that was shared and just go down the list. So I'm going to do that. Let me just take a minute to find it and see who's the first person on the list. All right, so if everybody have that document, you're kind of gonna know who's going next. We're starting off with Mark from First Choice Academy. Is he here? I didn't see him sign in. I know he was gonna be here. If not, let's go to Greenfield. I see Don. I know Don is here. Don and your team, if you guys just want to kind of, thank you, give us an update on your programs.
Hi, everybody. So GCC through the Allied Health, we run CNA programs, medical assistant and EMS, both basic EMT and paramedic. We're currently starting another cohort of the CNA. We had been working when we started back up again last year, I believe last August, during COVID, working very closely with MassHire. Shout out to Franklin County, MassHire, Franklin, Hampshire County, Cindy Ray, Donna, those guys done a tremendous amount of work getting us CNA students. The cohorts, I don't, off the top of my head, I don't remember. Cindy Ray probably has some of those better numbers, but we typically ran classes. We ran 5, I think we're on our 6th class right now. And we typically are running them with about 10 students per class. And I got to give a quick shout out to Christina Gervin-Gurney and Tracy Charette. Those are the instructors. We had a pass rate of, I believe my numbers are like 95% pass rate. The reason it's not 100% is because a couple of them still haven't taken the test. But for all those cohorts, so we've got CNAs out there working in the community. Medical assistant, Claire Tominski, is just phenomenal with these cohorts. We start off in August with maybe nobody, and currently there are 17 students in the MAC program. Her attrition, that information is on the website. I do know that she's got almost 100% higher rate at the end of the program, and Claire's on. And Claire, if you just again, just so you guys don't know, I'm transitioning into being the program director for the medical assisting program. So I apologize if I don't have all those numbers right at my finger, but Claire, you want to give a quick update about the MAC program?
Yes, as Don said, we're about at 17 coming in. Our statistics are wonderful as far as anybody who wants to work at the end has gotten a job, and we're really excited. The pass rate on the certification exam right now is 100% for this year. A few of them haven't taken it yet. So great group of students, very enthusiastic, not young students, you know, they're in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. So, but we're doing great. Thank you. And Don, thank you for taking over. I'm trying to retire, but it's very hard to get out the door and teach all that needs to be passed on. Thank you.
And so the other thing about the MAC, Peter Gay, thank you very much. We are participating in that MassHire ComCore grant. We have 5 students of those 17 in the cohort. 5 of them are participants from that grant. They are all still enrolled, still fully engaged. As Claire said too, a lot of we're seeing in the medical assistant programs now are incumbent workers or underemployed or, you know, unemployed people coming through. Older population really able to be there with the emotional maturity, I think is one of the things that I see, and they're just amazing students. And finally, for Greenfield Community College, the EMS programs, we run 3 basic EMT programs a year. We run those both credit, non-credit as a blended course, and we currently have 21 students in the basic EMT in the fall. There were 20 something in the summer and around 20 something in the spring. The retention rate on those students, we typically will enroll like 25 and get it down to about 20 that actually test. And our pass rate for the basic EMT exam, for those of you who don't know, it's a 2-fold exam. It's a cognitive exam that they take on the computer through a testing service. And then there's also a psychomotor exam. So in order to get certified, you need to pass both of those. Our pass rate for the psychomotor exam for the hands-on skills portion is 100%. The last run I did on the EMS, our basic EMT first time pass rate for the cognitive exam, they are allowed 6 attempts, by the way. The first time pass rate for GCC on the cognitive exam is 87% right now. And a lot of them have not tested yet from the summer for various reasons. And finally, for the allied health, the paramedic program, Greenfield Community College does run, we start a paramedic program every fall, and they kind of overlap. So the first year and second year students, we did notice a decline in enrollment for this fall. We typically been running between 25 to 30 students per our class. And this year we ended up only with 17 enrolling. The other thing we've done is we have of the class, we run a cohort. We split the class and they get to choose whether they come to Greenfield or we use our Smith Voc site for the didactic portion of the program. Also, the medical assistant program is also in Northampton at the Smith Vocational High School site right next to Cooley. And our pass rate for the paramedic program and the higher rate for the paramedic program is 100%. The pass rate, the last I checked on that again, because they vary when they take it, we saw a dip this year in our pass rate due to COVID and the fact that we had to move, and maybe other programs saw this as well. We had to move to this online virtual modality for teaching, and that became a little bit difficult for some of the students. But our first time pass rate right now for the paramedic national registry exam is about, I think the last I checked on that right now, we are at 82%. So that's it for Greenfield. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dawn. I got a few questions for you. Can you tell me, I'm looking at the training provider list for CNAs and home health aides. Can you tell me a little bit about the 2 programs that are listed? There's one with a primary contact as Alex and the other one as you for the primary contact. It looks like those are CNA and HHA certificate programs.
Yeah, I don't know why you separated them out, to be honest.
Okay,
I was never clear why that was. We had at one point tried to run a credit side. So maybe that's old information because I was in charge of the credit. But right now, if somebody is interested, they can contact Alex through workforce development. And again, I don't know if you updated that. We've had a lot of changes here at the college. It's no longer called community education. It's called workforce development, that whole department division. Alex Carley is a new hire. She works very closely with Kristen Cole. So those are the people. The other thing is because I oversee the CNA program and I know a lot more about the healthcare side of it, they also list me just in case people have questions about the actual training that they don't know. So whatever you want to choose, if you want to just list Alex Carley, that's great with me. If she has questions, she'll come to me directly.
Perfect. Yeah, that's the type of information I really need because that's so helpful because this is a valuable resource for people who go to the website or are looking for this type of information. So yeah, I'm getting the updated information that it's Alex and Kristen and it's one program and they're the primary contact. It's one program and people graduating get a CNA certificate and an HHA certificate. And it looks like 6 courses are run throughout the 5 to 6 courses throughout the year and 6 weeks per course.
Yes.
Yes.
Correct.
And what is the average capacity per course?
So we can, it's a scalable program. So we could go up to as much as that for our classroom sizes, 1, 2, 3, we could go up to 30 if we had to. I don't anticipate that. Because again, as anybody who teaches CNA knows, it's a scalable on the 10-to-1 ratio for when you go into clinicals. We try to keep that a little bit less because it's just a better experience for the students. The other thing I wanted to throw out there as well, while Christina's, I don't know if you guys have seen Christina Gervin Gurney, she is on this Zoom right now. We are also moving towards the being able to provide the MAP training. She's gone through that or is going through that instructor. Christine, if you want to talk for a second about that, because we're going to add that into enhanced services for our.
Yeah, sure. The MAP training is for those that are working either maybe for like ServiceNet or they're in the community taking care of people who require assistance with their medication compliance. So it's I believe it's an 18-hour training course minimum, just surrounding medication administration and how to safely do that for those that are CNAs.
Thank you, Christina. Alrighty, so just want to make sure I covered everything around the CNA and HHA certificate in regards to Greenfield. All right, yes, I'll say yes. Go ahead, Etta, thank you.
Quick question. I know that it was mentioned about changing names and information. Peter Gay, are you working off of the Moses approved training courses list? Because if that's what,
good question.
if that's what you're working off of, then we can't change any information. The vendor has to go into Training Pro and change any contact information, any courses information. That is nothing that the Workforce Board has an ability to do.
Okay, thanks, Etta. I appreciate that. That helps us and clarify a few things. So the training providers list that I'm working off of is a list that was created about 4 to 5 years ago. And so each year I send out the training providers list. So it's an old list that gets updated on a yearly basis. And that that listing gets sent to all of the providers who were originally listed, and then they're asked to provide me with new information. So this is current information coming from the training providers themselves. And I say this is a good question for us, because one of the things that I was thinking as I was putting this list together is I'm going off of old information and updating the contacts, I'm updating the length of the training, the start dates, the end dates, and I'm curious about capacity. But the other question that I don't have an answer to is, are there more trainers out there that are not on the list? And that's one of the questions I did want to ask the room. Are there trainers out there that are not on the list that we could add? Because when folks are looking to go to a training program, they sometimes consult this list, and we want to make it as comprehensive as possible. And it will increase, you know, our improve our resource. So that's one part of your comment, Etta. The second piece is when you talk about the Moses ITA training providers list, I think that, let me ask folks to raise their hands, because most of the folks who are here, so there's two parts. One is a reminder that if you have new contacts over your training programs and you have a relationship with the workforce boards and the ITA system, please remember to go into the ITA system and update your training, your contact information, because that's going to, every information that's changed, you need to go in there and update it. So that's one piece of it. The other part is for folks who are not familiar with ITAs. And I'm looking and I don't see anyone who that's pretty much new to this room or to this group, but I don't want to assume. Someone asked the question. All right, Kelly, please. Kelly is not familiar with ITA. Etta, can you give us like a 2-minute synopsis?
Sure. Any customer that comes to the one-stop centers in Holyoke or Springfield, or Franklin, Hampshire County, we work very closely with Cindy Ray, any career center really across the state, any MassHire career center, a vendor needs to go into, if they would like to participate in receiving federal dollars or ComCorp dollars or whatever it is, they go into the Training Pro under mass.gov and they put their training into the Training Pro, and then that information, cost and classes that are available, certification, so forth and so on, is accessible to all the counselors, all the staff at the one-stop center. So when the customer comes into a center and says, I'm interested in training, may I be eligible, and I'm looking for this, The counselors then go into what we call MOSES, the Massachusetts One-Stop Employment System. Then what we'll do, the counselors will pull up, nurses aid, and then all the list of the courses that have been approved for Hampden County will come up. Also, the courses are approved for, Cindy from Franklin, Hampshire County, so forth and so on. But so depending on what the customer is looking for, the counselor can customize the search and filter out certain specific things. And then that customer may be eligible for funding sources to attend your training program if they're eligible.
Very helpful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Etta. Appreciate it. Back to GCC, and then I'm moving on. Just one quick question, and I'm thinking GCC and the Franklin Hampshire Career Center may be able to answer this question. Just want to hear about how employers connect with you once your students are graduating. How do they recruit from your program?
I know, Peter gave that you had talked about me potentially talking about the Healthcare Up program, and I'm happy to do that now if it makes sense. We do on specific grants work directly with some employers, particularly with that grant where we had employer partners that we worked with. So we were actually, working a pipeline that we were filtering right to them once the people had completed the training process. But we also have a business services team as well that has connections with some of our local employers. So we do job match regularly when we're working with customers who are completing a training. They can have direct access to employer partners in our area. There's a multitude of ways really that they can connect with employers, but our counselors readily do that work.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Sometimes I'm off the screen because depending on who's speaking, I got to put my ear all the way up to the computer so I can hear. So that's what's happening there. Next up, Heather, can you give us an update about Excel Nursing and your training program, please?
Thank you. Yeah, so we have a 3-week training program. 2 weeks are online and 1 week in person. The students are required to complete 4 to 4.5 hours a day online. When they come in for the in-person, they're here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, learning in-person skills. Thursday, Friday, they're at the clinical site. Capacity right now, because of COVID, we're only allowing 10 students into clinical at a time. There have been times where my in-person for training on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, learning skills has been up to 18. When that does happen, we only allow 10 students into the nursing home. Frequency, so we try and have courses twice a month. That has been working out. We've had full houses each class. We recently, about maybe a year ago, partnered with the Red Cross. We are going to be partnering with Prometric again. Enrollment, it's been very busy. During the summertime, we've had wait lists. As far as vaccination requirements, everyone that comes to our training has to have their vaccine. They have to be fully vaccinated before they go into the clinicals. As far as teaming up with employment, I've had various nursing homes, hospitals, rehabilitation centers send me flyers, put together a packet, and then they ended up receiving it as well. I do follow up with my students to find out how they're doing. During the summertime, we've had a lot of nursing students and PA students come through the program from all over Massachusetts. I've had students traveling from Boston. I've had students traveling from the Cape. I've had students coming up from Connecticut to do the course. Right now, we're operating at 90% test rate. We have a lot of people that are still waiting to take the certified testing with the state right now. Okay. Once we get the information from Prometric, we'll probably call them in for a refresher before we have them sign up.
That's very helpful. Thank you so much. Anyone have any questions about Excel training program? That was really good, Heather. Thank you
I
for
do
that.
have a question. This is Karen Shack from Commonwealth Corporation. Thank you. That was really helpful. The refresher that you mentioned, is this refresher that you offer just to people who got trained by you? And is it a formal refresher course? Because there are other people in the state who are looking at how to provide access for people who finished coursework but need a refresher before testing.
Yeah, so the refresher course is only going to be to the students that have completed the course with us, that have been waiting to get a test date with the Red Cross. Once we have the Prometric guidelines, next week we have a meeting with them. I'm sorry, 2 weeks. Once we have the guidelines, we'll be able to either change or add things to the training and then review it with them. Also, if a student ends up going to take their exam and they fail, we do give them the opportunity to come in during that week of in-person. Some students, if they fail the written, they'll do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Some students will do Monday through Friday. We do offer that to the students as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I'll just jump in real quick, Heather. Thanks for that. When you talk about Prometric, are they talking about just simply working together to get the test scheduled, or are they also approaching you at all about being a host site for the tests?
So it would just be to teach the students. We were inquiring about being a test site. We're really not interested in it and that piece, not at this time.
Great, thank you. Just curious.
And if you don't mind, Petergate, now that you brought that up, Heather, thank you. We at GCC, we were a test site as well, and we are gearing up and starting to fill out the paperwork to become a Prometric. For those of you that don't know, maybe some of the training boards or whatever, that the American Red Cross pulled out of doing all the psychomotor and cognitive testing for the CNAs, and so the state has hired this Prometrics company that will now do the certification exams. And if you want to become a Prometric site, there's a whole list of things that you have to have in your facility to do that.
Very good. Thanks for that. We are moving to Holyoke Community College.
To begin with, good afternoon, everybody. And we, like Greenfield, and I'm sure we'll hear from STCC, have a variety of health-related programs. We have credit components, non-credit components as well. We have CNA and home health aid. We have a refresher program. We have a program through a variety of different departments, and so I'll let them speak for themselves in a minute. We also have pharmacy technician, which we have 2 components of that. We've been working on medical assistant with the Health Hub as well as with Bay State Health Systems. We have an EMT program that we do both in Ware and Holyoke. We do medical interpreting, which we've just launched that recently and has been successful. On our credit side, we have our Foundations of Health program with an MA, a CNA, medical coding and billing, CHW, community health worker, and we're currently working on a new behavioral health component. And like some of the others have mentioned, we are seeking to connect with Prometric to become a testing center. So with all of that said as one huge umbrella, maybe if we could start with Amy and Jumpstart.
All right, Jeff, thank you. So I oversee the Jumpstart program at Holyoke Community College. It is non-credit. We work with a variety of funding sources, WIOA, sees through the Department of Transitional Assistance, private pay, and other funding sources. So I do currently 2 types of programs: CNA, which over the last year we were working within the capacity of what the college allowed us to work in. We had 80 enrolled, we had 71 complete. Currently, we have 61 working and a number of people who are waiting for additional CNA testing. Our capacity is usually about 15 people max. We are averaging about 10 per class. And our cycles are throughout the year. It's about every 6 to 8 weeks that we're running a new program. We have excellent CNA employer relationships. As you all know, that there's a real need out there in the workforce. So as a couple of other people have alluded to, they're coming to us and either coming into the classroom while class is happening and speaking to the students, or upon completing the class, giving us flyers and pamphlets to give to them. The other class that I've overseen for some time is the pharmacy technician class, which has been expanded quite a bit over the past couple of years. Currently, the program is about 5 months. It prepares the students to take the national certification, which then allows them, if they pass it, to get the mass registration. Last year, we averaged 44 enrollments. We had B complete, and currently we have 22 who are in the process of being hired by area partners, which means that those 22 people are both nationally certified and mass registered. It's a very good program. The students are coming out and going into positions where they are wage sustainable and have a career ladder in front of them to improve their skills. We currently, usually it's about 10 people per cohort, and we've done about 4 to 5 cohorts in a year. I don't think I missed anything. Go ahead, Jeff.
No, I was just going to say thank you, Amy, and I'll flip it over to Elizabeth Hayward Jensen. And Elizabeth is one of our credit faculty and is connected to the Foundations of Health program. Elizabeth?
Thanks, Jeff, and welcome everyone. I am one of the instructors, and I kind of coordinate our CNA program through the 4 credit side of the house. We typically offer 3 sections of the course per calendar year. In the fall semester and in the spring semester, we typically run 2 classes that usually we have no more than 14, because we try to keep our clinical groups at 7 to 1 for meeting facility standards and keeping good relationships with our long-term care facilities. And we also run an accelerated, the full semester courses are 2 days a week. So they're either Monday, Wednesday, or Tuesday, Thursday in the afternoon and evening. So after 3:30 onwards. And the summer session, which is the 7-week accelerated course, is Monday through Thursday, and it is during the daytime. So I think it's from like 9 to 1 through the summer, June and most of July. Our pass rates have been excellent for the credit students, and we're looking forward to being able to bump our numbers up a little bit more once some of the COVID restrictions are relaxed. All of our students are required to have the COVID vaccine. Starting in January, Holyoke Community College, as well as all of the other community colleges, are requiring on-campus students to be vaccinated. So that's a change, but the last course I ran, all of my students agreed to get the COVID vaccine before the mandate was even put in place. So I think all of the community colleges are kind of holding our breath and are curious to see how the vaccine mandate impacts enrollment. But for the healthcare courses, it hasn't really seemed to impact us too terribly much so far. That's all I've got right now. Thank you, Jeff.
All right. Thank you, Elizabeth. And in case you haven't guessed it, I'm going in alphabetical order. So Kermit Dunkelberg is up next with a whole variety of things.
Thank you. So I'm Kermit Dunkelberg. I'm Assistant Vice President for Adult Education and Workforce Development at Holyoke Community College. And you know, the programs that you have listed there in the spreadsheet, Peter gave, that information is complete and correct. So the things that have not been mentioned so far, we have an ESOL nurse aid program, which is specifically for people, immigrants and refugees who need English language support in addition to the nurse aid training. And we have been funded for 2 cohorts a year of that program. We are now able, through CARES Act funding, to offer a 3rd cohort this year. So we have one that will be starting imminently, and then 2 more this winter and spring. And we're also looking at potentially over-enrolling those cohorts. We've limited it to 10 in the past, but we're willing to take on the additional cost of having a 2nd instructor for clinical rotations if there's a greater need than that because of the demand right now. You know, probably up to 12 or 13 given the size of our classroom space. I don't have the exact enrollment completion numbers, et cetera, for program by program, but we do have also programs in 3 of the area high schools, Westfield, Quabog Regional, and Ware. And of course, those are restricted to students who are enrolled in those high schools. But the completion rate there has been really strong. And also the relationship with the employers, particularly out in the Quabbin region with Quabog on the Common. They've been an excellent partner with us, even when with our ESOL nurse aid program, we were unable to utilize the employer that we had previously worked with for clinical rotations. We were able to do it out there in Quabog even last summer when things were pretty restricted in a lot of areas. At the college with the testing, we actually grouped all of our programs together up through the end of this month when Red Cross has ceased to be the testing provider. So we were able to work with Red Cross to schedule tests for students from all of our programs who had completed during the pandemic. We ended up, Elizabeth will be interested in this most recent non-duplicated count, taking out people who were scheduled to test but weren't able to due to COVID or other reasons, and also taking out retesters. We had 172 non-duplicated CNA students test, and out of those 125 who passed the state exam, about a 72% pass rate on the state exam. I did want to mention also the Training and Workforce Options program that we have together with STCC, where we're able to do a contract training for employers. And we've been working with several regional employers on that, providing options for their current employees who want to move into a CNA role to get that training. And similarly, we've been working on incumbent worker training with Bay State for pharmacy technician through an additional Pharm Tech program called DIL, or Digital Innovation and Lifelong Learning. We're working with Bay State and Holyoke Medical on 2 cohorts of pharmacy technicians. We're in the 2nd one now, where they've taken incumbent workers from non-medical areas of their operation and are training them into the pharmacy career pathway, which is a really exciting opportunity. We'll be doing something similar with Bay State for medical assistants as well, starting very soon through a grant that we received from Bay State, training incumbent workers from other areas of the hospital to become medical assistants in an accelerated program with Bay State. And then lastly, I just wanted to mention also, we have the community health worker program, as Jeff said, in the credit side, and there are 2 programs, 2 grant funded programs related to that. One is a HRSA grant, which provides free training for the 2 core courses for community health worker. And in addition, we have a new Learn to Earn community health worker grant, which will be for the full 1-year community health worker certificate, and is particularly for people who don't place at college level on the English placement test, we are offering a pre-training program, as we did with medical assistant with GCC 4 years ago, where we offered a pre-training program to qualify people to take the credit program. That's starting in late November. So if anyone has people who might be interested in a grant-funded one-year medical assistant training, or sorry, CHW training program, I'm putting Melissa Daniels' email in the chat here, you can reach out to her directly. But when we took this approach with GCC on medical assistant, we had a 92% graduation rate after a 2-semester program. So we're very hopeful that that strategy will work as well for CHW. Thanks.
Thanks, Kermit. And just one last thing is, I think Kermit touched on it a little bit, but we're really fortunate to be in partnership with the 2 regional employment boards in our area on the Health Hub concept. So all of the community colleges are working on medical assistant, and we're also working together on developing incumbent worker training for behavioral health, as well as behavioral health technician entry-level training, and all of that's in process. All right, I think that covers it, Peter.
Good job, HCC. Thank you. I do have one question, and it's about the listing again. On my list, I have the workforce development programs at HCC as only students are only graduating with the CNA certification. Are they receiving the CNA and HHA?
So the answer is yes, primarily. Is that true, Elizabeth, as well for the credit side?
No, we offer the HHA as a add-on. So if they want to take it, we do it like on a one-on-one basis rather than as on the whole class.
And I'm
But
not
yes,
sure about
sorry.
the training and workforce options. I don't know that they include it, but all of our other nurse aid programs do on non-credit.
Thank you. Alrighty, the next program I have on my list is STIC. I'm going to ask Mr. Elliott Levy just to give us an update on your HHA and CNA programs. And what we're focusing on is the length of the program. How often do you run into capacity? Any relationships you have with outside employers? And I think that's it. Or anything else you want to add?
Great, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm sorry I'm late. STIC offers 2 CNA programs. Our CNA 1 is a 75-hour program plus the clinical hours, and CPR is included with that. And then also we offer a CNA 2 program, which is the CNA 1 plus the HHA component, another 2 weeks. Currently, we are able to run the course approximately every 8 weeks. We have enrollment anywhere from 12 to 15 students at a time. We have a class starting starting on Monday. We have 14 enrolled in that class. Our pass rate for the CNA exam is about 75–80%. Our retention sometimes is a little disappointing. We're running around 50–55% of retention of students completing the course. We've been working on that with the extra support of the students, but that's the retention rate at this point in time. For funding streams, we've been had a very good relationship with SNAP, and SNAP has provided funding for some of our students, also with MassHire. That's been very good, working on the RIOA, and we also have some of the unions in the area. SEIU in particular has been funding some of the students. Again, that's our basic programs right now. For other medical programs under workforce development, we have our phlebotomy program and also our phlebotomy program for incumbent workers, which is a 60-hour program for people that have had experience in the medical field, such as an MA. We're able to complete the studies in 60 hours, and we have about 100% pass rate on the certification exam. So that's been a very good course for us. Any questions?
Thank you. Yeah, I was gonna ask the same thing. Any questions for Mr. Levy? Okay, so the next program on my list is Westover Job Corps. I don't believe I have someone here from Westover. Waiting to see. No, okay. Kelly, you have your hand raised.
Sorry, I'm playing with these buttons down here. But anyway, I did want to make just one comment because it's my understanding, I'm a new assistant dean here at STIC, but it's my understanding that we are going to be offering the CNA for credit also no later than fall of 2022. So that is something that is in the works as well. So we'll keep you updated on that.
Okay, so you guys are seeing a piece of the challenges I've been going through this week with technical difficulties, but I'm going to carry on.
When the pandemic hit, I had to get special approval from DPH to have my theory part approved to be virtual, which we did. We taught remotely. Last year, it was actually this year, we had 2 CNA classes tested by the Red Cross. So February 22nd, I graduated 10 CNAs, and then we had another class June 4th we tested, and of the 11 students, everyone passed the hands-on portion. I have one student that is an English language learner that's been in the country for maybe 4 to 5 years, Russian Ukrainian student. She needs to retake the written portion. This year, when we got notification from our clinical sites, we have memorandums of agreement with Genesis Center in Westfield and Agawam, and we also have clinical just for our school with Western Mass Hospital. All the clinical sites are requiring the vaccination because we are not employed at places and we're considered volunteers. It's mandatory that the students all have a vaccination with no medical exemption or religious exemption accepted. So our class size has decreased. My senior class is already certified, so they're all CNAs. I have 2 working at Westfield Center, the Genesis facility. I have 1 at Sarahwood in Holyoke. I have some, they're playing sports and whatnot, they're high schoolers, so they're doing things. We did lose 4 students out of our junior class, so from 14 we went down to 10 junior students. In our sophomore class of 9, we now have only 4 students left because of the vaccine requirement. So the vaccination did put a hamper on our class sizes. We are a testing site, and so we are working to get the biometrics here for us as a testing site. Our challenges are we are a Chromebook community. We don't have any regular desktops, so we're working with the tech center to see about what we're doing for our Chromebooks, if they will give us an in-service. I heard the testing fee is going to be the same, $110, so the fee won't go up. And I did talk to the state about my one student. I was trying to get her in to just take the written part before Prometrics took over, and because I didn't want her to have to take the whole exam again. And she said that she won't have to take the whole exam. She'll just have to take the written part, which is now computerized. So I don't know if anybody had issues in their programs with that. Also, I know some people are saying they're waiting for some people are waiting for their students to get tested. When the pandemic hit and my students had enough hours and we finished our program remotely, my students did go into the field and they worked for the 120 days with no license because they had successfully completed the program. And then I believe the 120 days was extended, so they again were still working in the field. And then we were able to get Red Cross here, like I said, February 22nd was our first testing, and they all passed. So that was good news for us. A highlight, Peter, you can smile. two classes, pretty good. So we usually have 100% pass rate, like all the time. We do our 21 hours is the minimum federal requirement for hands-on clinical. We do typically 60 to 80 hours of hands-on care. So our students, it is a high school program. We have like all year to be out in the clinical and giving them good hands-on experience.
Alrighty, so I see that Mark was able to make the meeting. Mark, can you please give us an update on First Choice?
Can you hear me? You hear me? Okay. So my name is Mark Boyer. I run First Choice Academy here in Holyoke. We've been here for 11 years. Well, when the pandemic hit, we stopped classes for about 2 or 3 weeks until the state mailed me a letter saying, can you please continue classes? Because they found out that we were essential, an essential school, but people did not want to come back to class in the thick of the pandemic. So we were out for about 4 or 5 months. Then we started classes back up. We've been going ever since. Currently, I have a class going right now. There's 11 students in the class. We have roughly 9 to 10, maybe 12 students per class, and we have a class every single month. It's a 4-week class. And during the pandemic, what I did is I also started a staffing agency, which has turned out to be a gold mine. And so I hire some of my CNAs that come through my program, and I put them out in, and I hire them and I put them out in facilities in Western Mass. So they're basically gainfully employed right out of the get-go. So yeah, I mean, I've been having a class every single month. It's going very well. The staffing agency is going very, very well.
And so with that said, I don't know if any of the employers here want to talk a little bit about some of the challenges they're experiencing and what they have done to circumvent that. I'll start, well, Mark, you started it off, but I'll share something that I took away from a meeting recently, and we were separated into small groups, and employers were sharing exactly on this topic. And I thought this was a great takeaway. What the employers shared is that the tables have turned, right? So now the employees are saying, you need us. And so they are taking a stance. And so what the employer said is that they've changed the way they've approached managing their employees. So before they would give them some kind of, discipline in some way for not showing up to work. And now what they're doing is that they are giving folks rewards for actually showing up to work, right? And I think that's spectacular in the sense that those who are taking on the burden, like I think all of us here who've been working and have been taking on more work, more higher levels of work, not just in long-term care setting, but all around. When someone leaves your organization, the people who are left behind are doing more of the work. So I think it's fantastic that long-term care organizations are recognizing that and finding ways to reward those who stay on. I see that Genesis is here, and I also see that Bay State is here. I don't see any other employer. We had more folks RSVP'd, but generally I know things come up at the last minute. So just wanted to pause and see if anyone wanted to share anything on this topic.
So Genesis definitely has felt the staffing issues with the CNAs. You're right; they don't want to work, and they know that we need them more than ever. We are doing a lot of extra things to recruit and retain, increased our rates, etc. So we're slowly starting to see some positive feedback from all that.
Appreciate that, Jody. Want to share, Jody just shared from Genesis, but I also wanted to let you guys know that we ran a webinar series last month where we highlighted careers in long-term care. And we had Jody on from Genesis, and we also had Elizabeth. She spoke earlier on behalf of Holyoke Community College, who shared their career journey. And I think we had 4 or 5 folks that were in long-term care. And by the time they talk about the years of experience working in long-term care, we had well over 100 years between those 5 folks who started in long-term care and stayed. So I'm going to share that link at, when I send out the reports from this meeting. I'll share that link so you guys can view that and use that as a resource, as a recruitment tool as well. And we targeted high school, and we sent out those recordings to the high school in our region. So I will see if there's anything else that folks want to discuss, anything that was not on the agenda that folks wanted to discuss in this meeting. If you have any questions or any other topics you wanted to bring forward.
Genesis is actually working with 2 co-ops right now. We have 12 students in the West building, so they're definitely awesome assets.
Hi, Liz. Yes. Liz, you wanted to say something?
Oh, yes, sorry. You kind of cut out there for a second. I neglected to mention that for the Holyoke Community College credit course, we are also offering college credits as credit for prior learning for students who come in with certified nursing assistant active certification. So if any of your workers or students or employees are looking to further their education, we do offer CPL credits for having a CNA certification, which is a pretty big stepping stone for students to have 6 credits right out of the bat. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that.
Elizabeth, I know I have a articulation agreement with the Holyoke Community College already, but is there a different form, or is there some kind of form you could send for my students that have their CNA for that 6 credit?
Yes, if you want to,
Or who would we?
Offline, I'm happy to give you more information about that. It's a relatively new thing that we're doing. So sorry for the feedback. Yes, but the answer is yes.
I'd be interested in that as well, Elizabeth.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, good. Still having technical issues. Okay. Anyone else wanted to share anything additional? Okay. So I think we did quite well with accomplishing the pieces where we provided updated information on training programs. I know this is a big part of what employers need to know is which training programs are out there, how many students are graduating, when the courses are being run, and how to connect with the training providers. So we captured that information in the document that was shared, and then we've also reported it out verbally. So I'm going to take this video and going to put it on our website and send it to the long-term care agency so that they have this information readily accessible to them. I want to say thank you everyone for taking time out of your afternoon. I know we're all very busy, so thank you so much for connecting this evening. If there's anything that comes to mind after we disconnect, please feel free to send an email to me and we'll follow up from there, okay? You guys take care.
Thank
Bye.
you.